I'll do the laptop.
Okay. Thank you for coming. My name is Luke Bonner with the Bonner Advisory Group, consultant on the project. Tucker Snipes, the developer, Landmark out of Athens, Georgia, and John Myefski, Myefski Associates out of Chicago, the architect. This is an expansion of a project that was approved August this year, which is a redevelopment of the Galleria site. Since then, we've acquired a small apartment building that was kind of tucked right behind the Galleria, and we're putting an addition onto the Galleria project itself. So that's the overview. I'll let John and Tucker, talk more of the details.
Great, Tucker, I'm going to go first.
Sure. Yeah, this was the originally approved plan. So
Where do you want me to go?
just next. We're adding this leg down here to the building. So, like he said, it's currently a 2-story apartment building called the Forest Apartments, right beside the Transformers, right tucked back there at Forest. So it's essentially just extending the building out across that leg of property, but otherwise, the height's unchanged. Still kind of the same look exterior-wise. So, yeah.
Do we want to go back to the first one?
Yeah, so
little more
I can just point out, if we look right here is the roof of the building, that would come down, and then that's where that portion of the building is that's going to pop up. That building that just scrolled away is the one that was previously approved. Because we're putting effectively, it's like an addition on it, we have to go through all the steps all over again. We just kind of run through it.
Sure.
So this view actually shows the corner kind of standing on the northwest, looking back at it. Ironically, you don't see the addition on there. That's not our intention, not to show it. It's just this is the rendering that we used the very first time we got it approved, and it talks about the materials that we have on the building. And it's kind of set up so everybody can understand the size and the scale and what the materials are. And basically, the first 3 stories of the building will be masonry. So that's brick, and that's trying to match the scale that happens predominantly in the neighborhood. And then as we step up, there's a transition with the metal panel, and then a transition with the rest of these vertical elements of panels. And then the one element that kind of pops out a little bit is the corner, which is glass that rises up on this particular corner. And then it repeats itself a little bit on the top of the building. It's very hard to see it, but the very top of the building has some amenities on it, and it looks south towards the campus. The site itself sits between Church, University, South University, and Forest. And this part is the part that was generally already approved. It has a rear entry for the parking. There's limited amount of parking inside of here. I think now that the building extension was added on, there's 2 stories of parking. I think we're at 84 spaces, if I remember right. And some of that parking, and are we allowed to see who's going in here as far as one of the leases go?
Yeah, the retail C space on the far right there, that's going to be U.S. Post Office, who's currently in the building, so they're going to be coming back into the new building with the frontage on South University.
How about Starbucks?
We're still talking about that. Our intention would be to have them on the retail A space, and we would love that.
The biggest space.
Yeah, the biggest space. Essentially where their current location is. We've had conversations with them, but haven't really gotten to full agreement yet. We're working on it.
For the post office, are they gonna have space like in front to pull up there, like to summarize the unload packages, or would that be in the same alley where they do it now?
I think it's going to be in the same alley, and then there's this loading area that is set back over here. But they're also going to be bringing some vehicles into the garage. So this is a door, and then you'll come in. Their vehicles will be inside the garage.
Oh,
So they'll have 3 spaces, basically the 3 right below their area dedicated to the post office. Yeah.
So all of that is enclosed. There's parking there, the retail, effectively the lobby, our vertical transportation. There's an additional fitness and amenity space over on this side in that new extension that we're putting on. And it also has an additional lobby. The transformer plaza, which we call it because it's full of transformers, is something that's gonna be worked on. The transformers still have to stay, but as part of this, that'll be subtly improved. And then, right now, all of our trash and loading basically is inside the building, and then it comes out when it needs to be loaded, and then it goes back inside the building. There's a ramp within that garage that has a second door, so the main door is set back subtly and you can drive in. Then there's another ramp in the garage door that takes you to the second level of parking, which I think will show up next. Oh, one thing that was important initially was our bike room. And it was just the idea that the bike room actually would access directly from the street. That was something that we were asked to do. Because in some bikes, people, no matter what we do, will bring them up to their units, and we do account for that in many of the units anyways. Because if you have an expensive bike, you may not want to keep it in the nicest bike room there is, because you just might want to bring it up. So we acknowledge that and just accept that. But we are required to have the parking on the street, as we're showing by the city, or somewhere in the building.
So that parking is for tenants, so for the students, and for people that work. I'm the store manager at Starbucks, so that's
Okay.
what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the parking would be for us because we get paid parking as well, correct? I mean, for
Yeah.
public.
I mean, I would say the majority of the spaces in the building will be for residents, but there will be some dedicated parking for each of the retail tenants, yes.
Okay.
And then there's bike parking actually on the second floor too.
Oh.
We'll have plenty of space for bikes, that's not really an issue. It was just that they wanted some of them to be primarily accessible right off the street. This is just the second level of parking, which is pretty much all there is. On this part over here, though, there's a mezzanine to the fitness side. And then you can see it overlooks down below. So I think there'll be kind of an active, exciting element that's happening on that part of the building. And then when we go up, now we're starting to move into units. And there are some study rooms distributed throughout the building, but this is pretty close to a typical floor plan, except it has a study room, which is looking to the south. You can just see the variety of different sizes of units. This is more of the typical floor plan, and again, the piece that we've added on is this chunk right here. That really is just because it has a pool equipment area, which makes sense when you see the next one with the pool up above. So here we're at the top level of the building. That part that I had mentioned that there was a glassy area for the amenities here. There are some residential units that wrap around. This just steps down slightly, and then there's an outdoor fitness area and pool for the residents. And then over on the other side, there's the stair and the elevator to get you back down and solar panels. This shows all the solar panels, which kind of happen on a roof above the roof, which you can kind of see up above here because we have mechanical stuff that's below, which you typically need for the building. But those angled elements at the top are the solar panels. So that is a requirement of this project to allow for the extra height. We were talking about that earlier. You can either provide affordable housing or you can meet certain sustainable guidelines. And the biggest one is solar for the roof. So it's, as you can see, this will probably be one of the more substantial projects with solar. We can't find another place to put it because we don't want to put it over the rooftop amenities. Otherwise, it's just not a great place to go outside. They will have some trellises and some elements and things like that to give shade, but that portion is kind of dedicated for the residents. This just runs through the kind of typical features, and I think just so everybody understands what's the big difference is what did we have before and what do we have now. Previously, what was approved was 211 units, and now we'll go up to 259 units. That means we used to have 673 beds, that's how we sometimes refer to it for student housing. It's going to go up to 991 beds. Vehicle parking goes from 34 up to 83. The retail area goes from 2,000 up to 5,210 square feet. And bicycle parking goes from 120 to 157. So all of those elements have increased with obviously the overall goal is to find a building that's well balanced like it was before, but just takes into account this additional area and kind of distributes everything that we had before over that area. This is the building now, the exterior view of it. That doesn't really look any different than what you saw in the beginning. This is where you start to see the difference because this part wasn't here before. That's being added on to effectively, this part did go back here, it's a little deceiving, but it used to go back to that part.
So that's Forest on the left and University
Yes.
on the right?
Yeah, Forest University.
Okay.
And as I think some are aware, but the parking structure is our back neighbor. So that is owned by the university and the DDA in an agreement. I don't fully understand the agreement, but it's not going anywhere, and so it'll always be our back neighbor behind us. This is standing more right with that parking garage. I do want everybody to understand, I'm ghosting this in to be honest about what we're building, but this is the outline of the parking structure. So it does, obviously, it hides a lot. We just want you to be able to see what we're gonna do. So we bring that kind of residential feel of a lower scale building and we wrap it around down here as we'll improve this kind of plaza area. One of the features that we had offered in the initial proposals that we're gonna do a mural at that back location of the building. So that was similar to what we did on the standard where they hired a local. They basically go through a process of working with the Arts Commission,
Yeah.
get a suggestion for an artist, and then we find an artist to do the graffiti, to do the mural, which might come off as something that appears to be any type of art. It's usually something we work for, but the goal is to defer graffiti, is what I'm trying to say. It's actually working today.
It looks good. It's,
Yeah.
it really does.
So this is just another view of it.
This is from the next view.
This is Rick's right here, in this building. And again, there's a giant building that covers up parts of it. This just takes you, now you're looking straight at South University, looking south, so you see the size of the building going up. That predominant part in the center here is what's on South University. The other parts are back. That's giving you the view on Forest. This is giving you the view looking straight from the south, looking north. So when we're talking about the building, these are the two garage doors. You go in for first floor parking, and that's the ramp that takes you up. I think one of the nice things about the lower scale along this kind of park area is it's going to be very residential scale. There'll be people living behind there, with the exception of that kind of active forest portion. Part of it's got parking, but you're still going to have windows and things to make it look like that. So you've got everybody up above, so looking down. And that's just looking from, basically it's our west elevation, so you're looking over Rick's, looking back at the building. Just a section that kind of shows everything as far as the height goes. Same thing with this one. And that's it. So as part of this process, the first thing that we do, we actually did this morning, at first we do submit all this, meet with staff and do it, but we had kind of a formal intake meeting today, which is a lot of engineering, going through different aspects of how does this building impact all of the current utilities that are around the site. The good news is we had already gone through that, so we had a pretty good idea. And there was really no concerns from the staff level of what we were proposing. We've had a meeting with DTE because we are proposing to do an all-electric building, so there's a lot of electricity that's needed, and they feel we can provide what we need. And we've had a joke about the fact that we're next to this park that's full of transformers, so we always assume we have power, but it's not that easy. They have to bring in a lot more, and we're not the only ones. This is a big deal for Ann Arbor, because Ann Arbor is trying to do all-electric buildings, so DTE is going to have to respond, bringing in kind, so it's available. And then we have a community meeting like we're doing tonight. We had done 2 or 3 of these before.
I think
two.
three. I think three total.
Yeah, and those first ones were very productive. Some of the building was shaped from what came out of those meetings. And then our next step is actually tomorrow afternoon, we go to a design review, which is required when you're in the downtown area. And that's a city board that you meet with and go through basically the exterior details in a lot of detail, like we went through all the utilities today. And then our last step is to go to the planning commission. And that won't get scheduled until we get through these other steps and submit everything to the city. Staff has a chance to review it. My guess is it's about 2 months out.
That'd be great.
Fair? Yeah, we hope. The holiday will push it out a little bit. That'll be publicly noticed. And it basically will be another opportunity for anybody in the public who wants to come and have a fun stuff there.
So for demolition, regardless, my question, so for retail spaces, it's gonna be demoed no matter what, like the whole building's coming down.
It is.
So Starbucks will be gone.
It will be.
Because it was just completely remodeled, so I was like, I wonder if they could like keep that space or like hold this up in the air. So
It's
Right.
gone.
Yeah.
I mean, just being
It's all
realistic,
gone.
yeah,
Yeah,
because it's such a big building that's being
Yeah.
built that, you know, you can sometimes build over something if you're building one story above it,
Mhm.
and that was your intention. We kind of went through this with the initial similar what we were talking about. So we really have to take it all down.
so it's
And then
all
start,
coming down
go back
regardless.
up, yeah.
Even if there was something contractually happening with Starbucks, it would be a brand new store.
It would be, yeah. And I actually spoke with one of the Starbucks representatives last Friday about this, and right now we're planning to demolish the building at the end of next year, basically a year from today, just to give you an idea of kind of the schedule.
So outside of summer,
Definitely outside of summer. It would be next December.
next December.
Yep.
Okay. And, there's no deadline. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
What's the target movement, like, if I could take this?
you. In the summer of 2028. So,
That's a long time not to have a job.
yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a long time out there too, but it goes fast.
Can we ask anything we want?
Yeah.
Sure, of course.
So I represent Exercise Warehouse, I'm the manager there. So I'm very interested in your fitness facility. Have you had any talks with anybody or plans as far as
I don't,
fitness goes?
I don't think so yet. We're probably getting, I would say probably in the spring, we'll start having those conversations, just as we get the design a little more progressed from an interior perspective. But
I would love to talk to you.
absolutely, yeah.
You have a card?
I do,
Yeah.
Yes.
Give us your card.
Yeah, right now, we basically just allocate a certain amount of space, and we have a good idea that that's gonna work for what we need for the number of residents. So the fitness areas has actually increased substantially because the number of residents has increased.
Nick, you said something about an outside fitness area
No,
or outside the pool, I was like, that's interesting.
yeah, there is an outside pool on the roof deck, and there is outdoor amenities out there.
Oh, it's like,
No, so, yeah, somebody might have a yoga class or something like that out there, but the fitness area is on the first and second floor.
It's in this space.
do you know how much square footage? Approximately, just to say?
Go back to the
Maybe
matrix. Yeah.
2,200 square feet or so.
I think so.
Are we allowed to like have that or is like that blueprint?
Yeah, this is all.
This is publicly available too.
Yeah.
I
online.
couldn't find it. I was
Really?
on like NLive and trying to find a link to it, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, well, it should be there, but if it's not there today, it'll be there in 2 days, because Ryan will always write an article about this, and it should be on MLI, and then he always posts all the slides.
We sent him photos, right?
Yeah.
Last week?
On NLive?
We sent him some renderings, I
Renderings,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. He wanted the outline of the building, he wanted the first floor, so we did send him that, but we don't want to make it complicated for you. It's, the city it's all part of a portal, so this is all publicly available. I guess now the easiest place to find it tomorrow would probably be if you put in the Ann Arbor Design Review Board, their agenda should have it where you could just pull it up.
Yeah, and that's on the city website. It'll be an attachment. Basically, this exact document will be an attachment on there for the meeting agenda for design review board.
Okay.
Yeah.
On Ann Arbor's website.
Okay.
Well, you answered my questions. Looks like I'll be taking my transfer. Well, thank you.
Can we get Starbucks to open the one on Main Street again?
They won't do it. The rent's too much.
Really?
Black
It was
Pearl's,
crazy.
Black Pearl's expanding into that.
Oh, is it?
Hmm.
I just saw an article about it today.
Oh, wow. You don't like the one in South University?
No, I just never see a Starbucks go away, so that was
Crazy.
shocking.
That was surprising.
Yeah. Well, the one on State is closing for remodel in May,
Okay.
so, yeah. Yeah.
Pretty active.
Oh, yeah.
As you are.
yeah.
Thank you.
We're a local
I've got-
establishment, so We have 3 stores, we've got Livonia and Ann Arbor. So
Okay.
I run the Ann Arbor location.
Okay,
And there's nothing that we can't do, so.
sweet,
We come up with the plans, we, start to finish, so,
okay,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it.
So are there any other questions?
Any questions?
Well, that's it.
Okay.
I mean,
Henry, any questions?